How are you?
I'm very well, yeah, raring to go for another season. I'll see a sunny day here at Donington at the moment, so hopefully go out, get some laps in, but yeah, can't wait to get the season underway for real next weekend.
More BTCC news announced today as the 2025 season gets ever closer. Maybe not too much of a surprise this one, but it is good news nonetheless. MIKEY DOBLE is staying in the championship and remaining with the Vauxhall team POWERMAXED Racing. This will be MIKEY DOBLE's third consecutive year in the championship and with the same POWERMAXED Racing team in the Vauxhall Astra, and I think this is great news. As I said, probably not too much of a surprise. A lot of people were predicting this, but you know what? It's because it's a sensible decision. It's because it makes sense, and MIKEY DOBLE is the perfect driver for POWERMAXED. There's consistency. He's driven for them the last 2 years. Got to know that championship well, but even, his first season in 2023, I don't think MIKEY DOBLE ever looked out of place in the BTCC. He was always competitive, he's always on his day, he's always been up there fighting at the sharp end of the grid, and even on trickier days he makes the best of the circumstances, often finding himself in reverse grid draws and situations like that. So this is a great move. Last year in 2024 was a particularly strong one for him. He won the Jack Sears Trophy in very dominant fashion and was a huge part of helping POWERMAXED Racing win the Independence Championship. Now, it's going to be a bit of a different dynamic compared to his previous couple of seasons. Obviously, he was partnered up with Aaron Taylor-Smith last couple of years, who I'd argue was very much sort of a team leader. He's a driver that's very experienced, several wins in the category, and he's been racing on and off in the BTCC for a very long time, whereas MIKEY DOBLE was sort of the new kid on the block, learning the championship, because it's massively different compared to any other series, not just in the UK but compared to around the world as well. But this time we're not entirely sure how many cars POWERMAXED Racing will be running. Obviously they've had a bit of a rocky few months financially with their previous title sponsor pulling out. So the fact that they're going to be on the grid is fantastic news. So there's a good chance that it could just be MIKEY in that car. But if that is the case and he is the only driver for the team, it's the right decision. And I imagine he was probably the number one choice for the team. I think they're loyal to each other. They've been together a good couple of years now, like I said. But obviously, if they do end up running a second car, as I said, we are not entirely sure of this information yet. Depending on who it is, that could then lead to MIKEY being team leader with another driver, I suppose, if that makes sense. He's obviously going to be leading the team if he is the only pilot for the squad. But, if a newer driver comes in to partner him, he will then sort of have to take that responsibility of team leader. But as I said, we're not too sure on that yet, but great news for MIKEY. It would have been a real shame, and he said this in the press release, if he had to sit out the 2025 season after such a strong year last year. Really hit the ground running with the team, really got to grips with the car and moved that along really nicely pace-wise, getting so many good results. And as I said in yesterday's announcement video with Stephen Jelly, the Independence class is continuing to shape up to be really fantastic. I'm very excited. I keep saying this, but I'm really excited to see how it all unfolds. There's some great packages up and down the grid, and POWERMAXED are going to want to, keep fighting, not just at the front overall, but for that Independence glory which they took last season and did so well. And so it's definitely going to be a challenging one, but they have high expectations. The aim is definitely going to be for MIKEY to win a race. Consistent podiums is I think a bare minimum really in his eyes, after coming so close to getting his maiden win at Alton Park last season, Jake Hill taking it off him on the final lap of the race in race 3. Still a great, maiden podium for him, but to get so close to that win, he's going to be even more hungry to do it this year. So, great news, great driver, great team. I think it's a sensible decision, and it would have been a real shame if both MIKEY and the team hadn't been here for this season. So it's going to be good, and especially after last season, which we're going to end this little video on Paul O'Neill. When I spoke to him, one of my many interviews with him last summer, I asked him who he thought was the driver of the season so far, and we'll have to see And he mentioned Mikey Doble. So enjoy that in a second. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Plenty more BTCC exclusive interviews and content coming up. We've got a very, very big couple of months coming up. So you definitely want to subscribe because there's some very exciting content. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, over to you, Paul. Standout driver of the season so far?
Jake Hill, I think definitely, yeah. And I think closely followed by Mikey Doble. I think he's been brilliant this year, and I think the PowerMaxed team in general have been absolutely stunning.